Alexforbes has reported a solid performance. The financial services group has posted a 12% rise in annual operating income thanks to new business wins and the integration of acquisitions, while headline earnings per share from total operations increased 29%. A final dividend of 30 cents per share has been declared. This brings the total annual dividend to 50 cents. That's up 19% year on year. The gains for shareholders don't stop there. The board has also declared a special dividend of 60 cents per share. CEO David de Villiers says Alexforbes has been reconfigured and is focused and is working well, and this provides a solid foundation for organic growth and acquisitions. Volatile commodity prices have weighed on Omnia. The firm's agriculture division's annual revenue fell 22% as a result, and that contributed to a 6% slide in headline earnings per share. A final payout of 375 cents per share has been declared. A special gross cash dividend of 325 cents per share has also been announced. Oceana has reeled in a strong first-half performance. The global fishing and food processing firm has booked a near 85% jump in headline earnings per share. That's as its U.S. Daybrook division reported record interim earnings, and Lucky Star experienced improved second quarter canned food sales volumes. Given the performance, Oceana has upped its interim dividend by 50% to 195 cents per share. And 231 former Sibanye Stillwater workers are expected to embark on an appeals process this week, according to spokesperson James Wellstead. The employees were fired after an illegal underground sit-in, and that related to employee share option schemes, which the company said they did not yet qualify for. National Union of Mine Workers President Dan Balubile says the dismissed were members of both NUM and the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union. Shifting focus abroad, Japan's economy contracted less than initially reported in the first quarter, and that's due to upward revisions to capital spending and inventory data. Here's more detail in this package report.
Capital spending by businesses might have helped Japan's economy to turn the corner. Revised figures showed first quarter GDP falling 1.8% at an annual rate. That was better than economist forecasts and an improvement on the 2% drop initially estimated. Some analysts say it adds to signs that Japan's economy has at least bottomed out. The numbers will also be closely watched at the country's central bank. Analysts are keeping an eye on the Bank of Japan for clues to when it will raise rates again. Governor Kazuo Ueda finally did a hike in March for the first time since 2007. Now more robust data might nudge him towards another move, though policymakers have said they want to wait for signs that wages are seeing sustained increases. Private consumption, which makes up about half of Japan's economy, shrank 0.7% in the first quarter, unchanged from earlier estimates. Export demand also remained weak.
And the EU wrapped up its four-day elections yesterday, where people across the 27 member states of the European Union headed to the polls to elect the new EU Parliament. Here's our reporter Anatindevu with more.
That's right, darling. In a year of pivotal elections, the majority of member states within the EU indeed headed to the polls yesterday to vote for a new European Union Parliament. We of course know that this is an important election period, as the European Parliament is the direct link between Europeans and the EU's institutions. Joining me now, though, with on-the-ground detail on this election front is Lars Halter, who is currently standing by in Berlin. Lars, what's the political atmosphere that side?
Thanks for having me. Well, it was as bad for the governing parties as many had feared. Germany is currently ruled by a three-party coalition, and since there are a number of problems plaguing the country these days, including a very weak economy, all three parties in that coalition lost loads of votes. Now, of course, this election yesterday wasn't about Germany at all. It was about who we're sending to Brussels. But still, on the EU level, many punished the parties that they aren't happy with on a national level. And this has now led to a situation where the long governing but now opposition CDU has won, and the right-wing AfD came in second. Now, that last part is not pretty, especially since it mirrors the results of some other countries, including France, where the right wing also performed very strong, as they did in the Netherlands and in Austria. All in all, the extreme right has been strengthened, but it's unlikely that they will be able to change course on much the EU is trying to accomplish, mostly due to the fact that no one wants to collaborate with them.
And so what's on the top of the economic agenda now for the EU, Lars?
Well, I guess there's one economic question absolutely dominating the next 5 years, and that is, what role will the EU be playing in an escalating trade war between the US and China, the world's two biggest economic superpowers? Where will the EU fit in? While the EU is obviously allied with the US, the question, of course, is mostly about what position the bloc will take in dealing with China, and conflicts between China and the EU have been escalating too over the past couple of years, of course. So we don't even need to look at the US to see some real rivalry with the East. As a matter of fact, we'll be getting a first glimpse at how EU leadership will be approaching China in future in just a few days, when Brussels will make its final decision on Chinese auto exports. Brussels has been threatening to put import tariffs on Chinese cars because those are, of course, heavily subsidized. However, member states aren't all on the same page here. France, for example, has been strongly advocating for tariffs, while German automakers have been cautioning Brussels to act, of course, out of fear of countermeasures Beijing might enact. So elections or not, within days now, we'll see some major decision-making.
Let's touch on the ongoing economic projects here, Lars, like the Green Deal. What are the latest updates on that?
Well, the EU's Green Deal program has been around for a while, and switching the European economy towards a more climate-friendly future is obviously still the bloc's declared goal, not least after what we've seen with the war in Ukraine, when Russia had to be dropped as a supplier of energy, mostly natural gas at the time, and the EU, including Germany, found itself struggling to replace the supply we had relied on for such a long time. Now, switching towards green energy and becoming more energy independent remains a big goal for the EU, and we're looking at what will happen in terms of subsidies for green businesses. The US, of course, has that major Inflation Reduction Act that has funneled billions into green technologies, and now the EU will have to show how they proceed. It's not all about money, of course, one should note, but also about faster approval for new technologies and less bureaucracy. So there are quite a number of economic challenges that remain for the EU.
Well, let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for those insights, Lars. That was DW's Lars Halter.